Hello, welcome to the Enlightened Times Podcast. I've got a very special guest doing a return appearance on the show, and it's Stephen, the Truth Seeker. Welcome to the show, Stephen.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for the opportunity for a part two, mate.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for reaching out and contacting me again to do this follow-up. It's really good to have you back to talk about some of your paranormal experiences and your spiritual experiences that you perhaps didn't quite touch on in the last interview conversation we had.
Yeah, cool, mate. So,
Excellent.
so basically, just to carry on from where I left off, really, because I was living in that haunted household, demonic house, whatever
Yes.
it was, and but before all that happened, I just want to go back to a story I forgot to tell you about. I was about 6 or 7, and we were on holiday I was on holiday with my family,
Yeah.
and I was on a train platform, and we were waiting for a train, and my dad said that a kid had thrown himself under a train, and I was just sitting there. All of a sudden, I could smell this really powerful smell. It's like a really sort of thick, heavy, acrid smell. Like it smells of death.
Right.
That's the way I would describe it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's just drifted up. And what I come to realise is that must have been the smell of like death of the kid that threw himself under the train.
Right.
So I was with my dad. I remember saying to my dad, "What's that smell?" And he sniffed the air and said, "What smell?" So I was the only one who could smell it.
Right. Obviously, your dad couldn't smell it then.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I thought that was an important sort of story to tell, really.
Yeah.
And so I was about 6 or 7 when that happened.
Right. Okay.
So
So you picked up on. So for you, then you feel you picked up on that. The person who passed away.
must have,
Threw
mate.
himself
Must
under
have.
the train.
Yeah, must have.
Yeah.
And another shorter story I'd like to talk about was when I was living in that demonic house in the 80s.
Yeah.
I remember waking up one night,
Mm-hmm.
and something woke me up. And I remember looking down the stairs, and I seen like what looked like at the bottom of the stairs. I was on a landing, but at the bottom of the stairs, just to the left where the wall was, there was like, I don't know how to describe it, like fairy lights, but not as powerful and not as bright and not as big, but sort of little speckles of light flickering sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the spirit taking form or what that was. But that was another story I wanted to mention.
Yeah. And that was in the demonic house. You
That was in the demonic house, when I was would have been about 14 or something.
Right. Okay. So a little bit older compared to the last story. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just a couple of that I forgot about.
Yeah. So you feel like them were like spirit lights or spirit light you was observing?
I think it was taking shape. I think it was trying to take shape or form or something.
Yes.
It was like a collection of like the mini lights or something, like Christmas lights, fairy lights, but not as powerful because they're quite bright, aren't they? So a sort of milder version of those, like dust, not like dust, but like sort of in between that. So, you know what I mean?
They were
like
trying to build up. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, I don't know. And another thing I just want to clear up about the story about the demons in the corner of the field that I said that. One thing I didn't mention was they were all chalk white colour.
Oh, right.
They were all different shapes and sizes, but you remember I flew over them and it hurt me to fly over.
Yeah.
But they were all the same chalk white colour in the corner of the field at the back of our house when I was astral projecting.
Yes.
So they were all the same colour.
Yeah.
And basically is the same chalk white colour as the entity that was chalked on the shed door, the same white chalk colour.
All right.
So I think that was sort of important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's that as well.
Wow. Again, it's interesting how you describe it as a chalk white.
Yeah, they were all the same
Yeah.
colour.
Yeah. Wow.
So there's just a couple of things I wanted to clear up, really.
Yeah. 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 I remember you mentioning that about your astral traveling and when you was coming back and
Yeah.
yeah.
So basically, what it is this is like, oh, we've moved out of this. We moved out of that house, that demonic house, in 1989. I think it was March 1989.
Right.
And so we moved as a family. We moved to a couple of a different part of the Wirral, like a couple of miles further away,
Yeah.
uh, to like the suburbs, more is less rural and more sort of built up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So um, one night I was walking my dog because there's houses everywhere and like that. I was walking the dog, and I just happened to look up. It was like 12 o'clock at night. I just happened to look up. Something made me look up, and I
Yeah.
seen this what looked like, I could only describe as a giant bat. It had like giant bat wings. It was a giant bat, and it was flying inland from the. This is on the Wirral on Merseyside, but the bat was flying inland from the Irish Sea. It it
Wow.
was quite high up. It was like low plane level height. With the
Yeah.
lower planes that fly. It was that
Yeah.
type of height. It
Yeah.
was that high up. It was flapping from what I can remember. I think it was flapping its wings, but really sort of slowly, because it was so big. But this thing was the size of a van, or like a medium-sized sort of all large transit van or something like that.
All right.
Yeah, like
Wow.
it was quite big, and it had bat-shaped wings, a body, and some kind of head. I mean, I can't
Yeah.
make detail because it's so high up. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just looked up. Something made me look up, and I
Hmm.
seen this thing flying inland. It
Yeah.
must have come across the Irish Sea,
Yeah.
and then because we lived only about a mile from the shoreline on the Wirral.
Right. Right. Okay.
So for it to be so high up, it must have travelled across the sea, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking anyway. So it
It's a
had,
large. That was a lot. That's quite big. That isn't it? If the
yeah,
size of a van.
it was
Yeah.
at least the size of a transit van. I'd say maybe bigger, and it
Yeah.
had bat-shaped wings, massive wings.
Right. And you never seen anything like that before, or is that like was that like a
No, that's the first and only time I've ever seen anything like that,
right?
mate.
Okay. Wow.
So so
Interesting.
that was strange.
Yeah.
Another time, it's like I'd moved out from a family home, and I was living in a YMCA. I lived in a YMCA in the 1990s for a
Right.
couple of times actually.
Uh-huh.
I moved there, but this was about 1995. I was
Yeah.
still living on Merseyside, but I was in the YMCA, and someone mentioned to go, because what it is you just get a room, and
Right.
you live in the room sort of thing,
Yeah.
and you go down to the canteen and get some food in the evening. But someone mentioned something about a ghost in there,
Hmm.
but I didn't take much notice of it at the time. But I remember waking up in my room one night or evening, and something was knocking on the door, and it just felt strange. It's like banging on loud knocking on the room door on the outside, but no one was saying anything. So I did. Something told me not to answer the door. Something
Right.
inside me said, "Just don't. There's something wrong here. Don't answer the door." And the thing is, I was at the very end of the corridor. There was like 3 levels. So I think I was in the middle level of all the rooms. So like, there was like a first floor, a ground floor, first floor, and a second floor. I think
Right.
I was on the first floor, but
Hmm.
what it was like 2 or 3 or maybe 4 rooms at the very end, and then there was like a partition doorway, like I think it had like glass. It was
Yeah.
like glass panels, and then a
Right.
door with like glass panels, so you could see right down to the end of the hallway. It was
Hmm.
still a wooden door, but it had panels, glass panels. But when anyone who lived at the very end. I was at the very end, but anyone lived like opposite me or next door to me, who had to come past the door, would have to open the door. And whenever that door opened, it made a sound. The door was a sealed door. It's like a fire door, but it's like it would make a sound, when you open the door.
Yeah,
It's the main corridor. You come up the stairs, the main corridor, and then it sort of shoots off to the left and to the right. So I was to the right at the very end.
Yeah.
So before you get to my flat, to my room, there was a door there.
Right.
So
right.
yeah, I had to open the door to go in, and then there was my room, my next door neighbour's room, and I think one or two other rooms opposite, where the corridor was.
Yeah.
So whatever was knocking on my door would have had to, if it was a human being, would have had to open the door. So I can't remember if it was I remember hearing knocking. I think I was woken up by the knocking.
Yeah.
But the loud knocking stopped, and I never heard that door in the corridor open to lead on to the main corridor to go down the stairs.
Right.
I didn't hear that door open, and I must have laid there an hour or two. I didn't hear, and it wasn't the people who lived at the end with me, because their sort of main front door, their door on their room would have made the noise as well. When you open your own door, that makes a noise as well.
Right.
I would have heard that as well.
Yeah.
So there was something knocking on the door, and it just disappeared. So there was that.
Yeah.
Strange, mate.
So you was trying to rule out any possibility of anybody, any other.
I'm pretty sure from what I can remember. It was a long time ago now.
Yeah.
It's just a weird experience. And then someone mentioned they had a name for the ghost. I can't remember what the name was, but they said the ghost was seen knocking on my door. Someone said that.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. That was in the YMCA on the Wirral.
Right. Wow. So that's quite quite scary, that then. And how old had you been around that time, do you reckon?
Early mid-20s.
Right, okay. So all still going on, and as you like you say, into your adulthood, yeah.
So at some point, I think I can't remember if this was before the YMCA ghost or after, but I used to still go to my parents' house and sort of visit and stuff. So I was in. This is a different house now, but I was watching. I was on my own in their house, but I was watching it. Stephen King's It horror thing.
Oh yes, I do. Yeah.
I don't know if it was a TV series. I don't know if it was a TV series or the film. I think I was watching the TV series, but it could have been the film.
Right.
I can't remember. I don't know if there was a film on a TV. There was something called Stephen King's It anyway. And I got a little. I'm not usually scared of clowns, to be honest with you. But at this point, for some reason, I got scared. Something made me feel scared.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I was watching this horror thing. All of a sudden on TV, and all of a sudden, from another part of the house, that came from the kitchen, I heard this almighty crash, and it sounded like someone. It sounded like someone had thrown a brick through the kitchen window. The problem was the kitchen window was sort of at the side of the building.
Right.
So I went to investigate what that almighty sound was, and what I found was there was like a small to medium-sized vase that had like plastic plants in it. It's like one main thing of plastic plants with like a main root, but it was plastic. And that was just, I seen it was like thrown across or something. And then I looked down on the kitchen floor, and the vase itself is like it was all neatly on the floor, like in like grouped together in a small area, and like not like in a circle, but like just a group together on the carpet on the floor.
Right.
And what it was it was on the ledge by the window, and I heard this explosion or crash.
Yeah.
And it was all in bits on the floor.
Wow.
The vase was in bits on the floor, but it was all like as if it was almost placed there and all smashed up. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's like the ledge is there, and then a few feet down, on the floor was the vase smashed to bits, but it was all like it wasn't like spread out. You know what I mean? It wasn't like if it exploded, if the vase had exploded.
Yeah.
It wasn't bits like like you drop a plate or a bowl or something on the floor
Oh
in the
yeah.
kitchen.
Yeah.
I don't know what floor you got, but sometimes it'll smash and bits
Yes.
will go everywhere.
Oh God.
It
Yeah.
wasn't like
Yeah.
that. So if it had fallen over by itself, it
Yeah.
wasn't the pattern of the bits and pieces of the vase that or cracked and smashed weren't consistent with it falling off the window ledge
Right.
because it was on the window
Right.
ledge. It was just like as if it exploded inwards or I don't know, and just
Yeah. Yeah.
dropped to the floor neatly.
Yeah. Like
That was that.
inconsistent. Yeah. Yeah. That's
So it's
strange.
just it's hard to explain really, but it's just the whole thing was strange. So
Yeah.
there was no
Yeah.
window, there's no kitchen window was broken, but that's what it sounded like. It sounded like someone had thrown a brick through the
Yeah.
kitchen window. So that
Wow.
was in the 90s as well, mate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wow.
I don't know what you think of that one.
Well, like you say, it's strange. This, if you got the configuration of how, like when a plate smashes, normally, like you say, goes into bits. This is totally different then. So that's like
Yeah,
an observation you've had. What's occurred to you is
yeah.
this doesn't look right because of the way this is, configured. It's not your normal way something would normally smash if it had fell
So
off
I think
or
it was my own energy that did that. I think
right. Okay, that's
my
interesting.
fear energy did that.
Yeah,
Either either it was 100% me because I was watching a scary film,
yeah,
or something else had sort of got me scared. But
yeah.
either way, it's from my fear, sort of thing.
Right, right. So you don't feel it was anything getting your attention?
It could have been that,
Right, yeah.
but from my fear, that vase exploded.
Right, okay.
Honestly, it's weird. But I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
remembered something. Someone was taking the piss out of me when I mentioned
yeah.
this to someone. Someone was taking the piss out of me. Well, they did it behind my back and told someone else. They said I looked at it and exploded.
Oh, right,
I'm not
okay.
that powerful, mate.
Yeah,
That's what just made me laugh at.
that's
So
funny.
that so another experience I had in the same house that we moved to from the
Yeah,
demonic house.
yeah,
This is a different house. Um, uh, all of us, I got into like a family argument. So I'm not going into details, but I got really pissed off and I started like smashing up my bedroom.
yeah.
And this was in the 90s as well.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden, there was no one in the house at the time. The other family members had left at this point. And
Yeah,
all of a sudden, I could smell this really powerful. I could smell really powerful roses,
right.
sort of drifted up the stairs and whatever. Just I could smell it. It's just the whole house smelled of roses. Because a family member came in about an hour later, and said, "Oh, look at what's the smell of roses?" But it calmed. I
All
think it
right.
calmed me down. So
Yeah,
I was getting angry, and
yeah,
I think it
yeah.
was like could have been a family member from Spirit World or something, calmed me down.
Right, right.
But that was really powerful. Have you ever smelled? It's just really powerful smell.
Yes, yes. I know what you mean.
That was in
It
the
gets
90s as
it
well.
gets your awareness, doesn't it? It gets you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it
know.
wasn't like it wasn't like you'd have to stick your nose in to a smell of rose
Yeah,
and just keep it there for like half an hour, just
yeah,
smelling. That's
yeah.
a really strong smelling rose from a
Right.
garden.
So like a
So
strong
not all roses
odor
smell
to
that
it.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That
So
definitely got your attention then, that did.
yeah, that was a real experience as well, mate.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So it's quite a powerful odor then that
Yeah,
you could smell.
yeah. So the whole house smells of roses.
Wow.
So this is about 1997, and I
Yeah.
used to at the back of my mum's garden. In the evening when it went dark, I think it was in the autumn time or something. I used to do like sky watching because there was still some light pollution, but not as bad because there was like a mini sort of field at the back.
Yeah.
It's like there were less houses at the back, so you could sort of see up and not too much light pollution in the local area. So I used to do sky watching. So I used to sort of focus in on stars and stuff.
Yeah.
And I used this evening, right, for whatever reason, I decided to sort of start staring at this one star, or what I thought was a star. And I just got, I don't know whether I'd describe it as a meditation, but I was just so focused on the star. I just started staring at it, and and I got, it's just almost transfixed into sort of what I was doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just sort of into it. So I'm just staring at the star. It was a minimum of like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I'd say could have been a bit longer, but I don't know. And maybe half an hour. I'm staring and staring and staring, and to me it looked like just another star. And then all of a sudden, it started to move, and then within a split second, it was moving very quickly. And what it was doing was it was shooting up, out the sort of stratosphere. It was like up, away, and gone. It's like woof, gone. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's gone. The whole sort of area, space around the planet, around the Earth, and everywhere.
Yeah.
It was just gone, mate.
Wow.
It's just absolutely gone. This is my main UFO experience that I'm telling you, and it was just amazing. So what I'm thinking it was a UFO disguising itself as a star.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've some way connected with it, and it's decided to just go whoosh, gone.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and this is while you was to do with the sky watching.
Yeah, this was about 1997.
Yeah. So what aroused just briefly, what aroused your interest into that? Was that something you was compelled to do, or?
So it's just something I had an interest in, sort of thing. I didn't do it all the time, just now and again. I'd go to into my mum's back garden where it was quiet.
Yeah.
And I just, when it was a clear night, I used to just look at the stars.
Right.
So that one evening, decided to just focus in on that one star. Sort of picked out a star, right? Because it was probably bigger than the other ones. Not that big, but you know what I mean? It's just some of the stars are further away than others, sort of thing. So I just picked that one out and started focusing on that. And then I was just watching it for a good 20 minutes or longer. And then all of a sudden it just flew off quick. I mean, if you're into UFOs and anything, that was not one of ours.
Yeah.
That was something else from outside.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%.
So you didn't feel it was from our side of the fence. It's
no.
Not, yeah, I know what you mean.
It wasn't the sort of, you hear about the sort of back engineered UFOs that the secret government might have and all that. I don't think it was anything like that. I think it was just on a different level, and it just decided to do what it did to show me. I don't know.
Yeah. It's interesting how you was perhaps compelled to, start the sky watching, periodically, and being drawn down to do that type of thing. It's interesting that is.
Yeah. So it could have been like sorry to interrupt. It could have been like it could have been like an organic UFO. I don't know, but it was disguised. It was disguising itself as a star. It looked exactly like all the other stars.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting.
Because I think that's what they do.
Yeah.
That's one of the things they do.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody sort of describe it like that before. So that's quite interesting.
I think there's several reasons why they disguise themselves as stars. Probably to protect themselves.
Yeah.
So it's probably connected with me in some way. I know that I wasn't a threat and decided to show itself what I could do.
Yeah.
So that's like a message, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's like you say, it uncloaked itself, didn't it? Sort of, and
well, I wouldn't describe it as uncloaked, because I do believe I've seen that sort of thing as well, but it's hard to sort of describe as well. I do believe that goes on, cloaked UFOs as well.
Yeah.
But it just looked like a star, Mark.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. So at this point, I got myself. This was like getting to around the year 2000-ish.
Yeah.
So I got myself a flat.
Yeah.
It's still on the Wirral, but I had a flat. And I remember I fell asleep in the daytime in my bed, or in the afternoon or whatever. But I remember it was summertime,
Yeah.
and my bed was against the wall, so I'd been asleep and facing the wall. And this is another experience I had. And I'd woken up and I was facing the wall, and I felt I was in my bed, and I felt as if something was like behind me next to my bed.
All right.
So this was in the daytime. So I turned over and looked, and there was this. I seen this white orb just start flying around the room doing spirals and stuff.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it was real,
Yeah.
mate.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to blink. And all right, I had just woken up. I admit to that, but I was awake. I was fully awake and
Yeah.
conscious.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to blink in case you blink and you miss it. You blink and it
Yeah. Yeah.
disappears. So I
Yeah.
just, I was trying to take in the information and just watching what it was doing. So
Yeah.
it started flying around the room, and then it flew in a corner doing spirals and disappeared. Just poof, gone. That was in my bedroom, but this was a white orb in the daytime.
Wow. That,
Yep.
yeah, that's because it's like you say, sometimes you can blink. I've heard people blink and all of a sudden it's almost like you've tuned out and they disappear. Yeah,
But no, I didn't want to blink at because
yeah,
I didn't want to sort of miss anything really.
yeah, yeah. And that was in the daytime.
That lasted about
Yeah,
7, 10 seconds. It's hard
wow.
to remember, but maybe 10 seconds, a
Yeah,
bit more, maybe 12 seconds maximum.
yeah. Was your
Can't really
curtain
remember.
was your curtain shut and that? So, what
No,
was,
I don't know. Well, it was in the daytime, mate.
yeah,
I can't
yeah,
remember if the curtains were open or closed. I
yeah,
don't remember that
yeah,
much, but I made a mental note of this sort of
yeah.
another experience I had. I remember doing that.
Wow.
Uh, uh, and then a few years later, I I felt a presence in my room. It's like around 2003 in the
Yeah,
same room.
yeah,
I felt a presence in my room. It was like I don't know. It was January, February, March, around that time, 2003.
yeah.
I felt a presence in my room. It was
Right.
like a good presence. It's like almost like I don't want to say angels, but it was a good presence sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But do you know like when David Icke says, because David Icke said the similar thing, didn't he?
Yes, yes, he did. Yeah,
He said he felt a presence in the room.
yeah.
But this for me, this lasted about a week or so. It went on for
Right.
about a week, maybe a bit longer, and then it went. But following that, I seemed to go through like a spiritual awakening almost. Well, that's what it was, a spiritual awakening.
Yeah, yeah.
And it seemed to be bringing like new energy into my life. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
Once I had that experience, it was like I didn't ask, I didn't say, "Oh, what you want" or anything. I just felt the presence and just acknowledged it.
Yeah.
But it seemed to bring in like new energy. So I think that was a spiritual awakening I was going through.
Right.
It was like an intelligent love energy is
Yeah.
one way to describe it. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it was like it was on like a feeling and knowing level. So
Yeah.
I started to know things. I was
Right.
feeling the energy, but at the same time, it was on an intellectual level as well. I was knowing things,
Got you.
right?
Wow.
So, for instance, around the same time, I just woke up to the Illuminati, and I automatically knew. I
Yeah.
was I automatically knew that the Illuminati was real. And at the same
Right.
time, I was doing research into that anyway.
Yes. So,
So
so this, as you put it, a spiritual awakening. Is this like this? Was like a bit of a paradigm shift for yourself. Like
yeah,
a
you could
big
describe it
shift.
as that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's hard to put into words. It's really hard to put into words, and it's not easy
Yes.
to go through that either.
No.
I
No.
mean, as the years went on, it faded away. a lot of
Right.
those sorts of I don't know if you describe them as sort of gifts or skills,
Yeah.
skills maybe
Yeah.
that I sort of woke up to.
Yeah.
It sort of faded over the years, sort of thing.
Right.
Well, it was interesting anyway.
It is. Yeah. I mean, it's it. I mean, do you feel that that awakening was timely? Was it, for yourself, coming to?
Say again, sorry.
Do you feel that that spiritual awakening happened? Was it timely when it happened? As in, like, something. Was it significant? In time with yourself for that
Well,
awakening?
when I seen that spirit orb a few years before, a couple of
Yeah.
years before, that was sort of timely because I was going through a rough time.
Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah.
that had something to do. That spirit orb had something to do
Right.
with me having the feeling that there was a energy or a presence in the bedroom, but
Yeah.
it was on a good level sort of thing. So
Got you. Got you. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I was going through that at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting at times in our lives, when things happen like that, you know,
Yeah,
these little shifts or,
it was definitely a shift for me.
yeah, yeah,
And one of the things, Mark, that I experienced around my awakening is when my sister was pregnant with her second child, I knew about it before she told me. What do you
wow.
think about that?
Wow. So you picked up on that then. So
Yeah,
you had like a sense in that about that.
yeah.
Wow.
And another little thing that happened is I was in a pub once somewhere on the Wirral, and
Yeah.
something whispered in my ear. I think
Right.
it whispered my name. It's like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I was in a pub having a pint.
Wow. Wow.
I'm not
Um,
mad, honest, mate.
no, no.
I'm
Well,
just trying to
yeah,
remember all my little
yeah,
experiences I had.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. People would say we're mad, them things, but I know what you mean.
yeah.
So,
And another strange one that happened.
yeah, yeah,
This is in the noughties now. These last few ones are in like year 2000 and onwards.
yeah,
But
yeah,
this is about, I don't know when it was, probably about 2003,
yeah,
maybe, maybe 2005. But there was this. I was at my parents' house, and my mum was cooking tea,
yeah,
and my nephew was there, and my mother had these patio doors. And when she was boiling the spuds or whatever it was, the patio doors were like windows, and it used to steam up.
yeah,
Um, but it was in the evening. It must have been like winter time or something because it was dark outside. So it was about 5, and it was
yeah,
dark outside. And but the windows were steaming up, and as the windows had steamed up, this face started to imprint itself on the steamed window,
yeah, yeah.
and it had detail. It had like a face, and I think it had like a beard, and it might have even had like a body shape. It was definitely some kind of figure,
Wow,
sort of. It might have had a hat. It was a detailed image that was just manifesting on the steamed window.
wow,
And I was looking at it, and it had eyes, nose, mouth, and it's like almost as if an artist had done it. But it was like
yeah,
it wasn't life size head.
hmm,
It was like it was more compressed. It was like a smaller sort of head, but it was
yeah,
fully. It was everything was in balance, as
hmm,
if an artist had done it in balance. Itself. The actual imprint on the steam window.
right,
So at the
right,
point, I said to my mother, "There's a face that's on the window on the patio doors," and she goes, "I know, I've seen it." And then at that point, my nephew rubbed it out. I think he was about 5 or something, 5 or
yeah,
6.
yeah,
He rubbed it out, so that was that. He rubbed the image out from the steam window because he's
wow,
seen it as well.
wow.
So
So
that
that's
was another strange
three
one.
people then who
Yeah,
were
yeah, yeah,
saying that. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. And another time upstairs in the same house, I was playing with my nephew on the landing, and all of a sudden he sort of flew himself from the landing into one of the bedrooms onto the bed. And I said, what happened? What did you do that for? He goes, you pushed me. I said, I never pushed you. He said, yes, you did. You pushed me. I said, I never. He goes, yes, you did. So it's something, and I pushed him, but it wasn't me. Pushed him onto the bed. He said, it was as if he ran from the landing into the bedroom and onto the bed and dived onto the bed. And he said something and pushed him. That wasn't me.
Wow. So he felt
because we
that
were sort of
force
messing
and thought
around.
it was you. Yeah.
We were messing around on the land and just playing or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow.
And so he thought I'd pushed him. I didn't touch him.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I know you mentioned something similar about, with you in the last interview.
Yeah, but that was in a
Similar.
different.
Yeah,
that was a different place. That was a
yeah.
different house, mate.
Yeah.
So I think this other house had spirits, but they weren't as bad.
Yeah.
I think, well, maybe they are, but it wasn't. I don't think it was as bad as the other house.
So do you feel there was, just quickly, do you feel there was different spirits in the other house? You didn't bring, there's nothing brought from the other house to the...
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
I think something was like, I think it was just more normal spirit sort of thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell, mate, but I think the original demonic house that I lived in, that I grew up in, right? That was next level stuff.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Another experience I had, Mark, was I remember waking up in my bedroom in my flat, and everything felt normal and solid, and there was even detail to my bedroom, and everything really looked normal, proper normal.
Yeah.
And then at some point within like, I don't know, 20 seconds, maybe a minute of waking up, I started to sort of realise or think maybe I was dreaming.
Right.
But it felt real. It felt at the time. It felt real. I wasn't astral projecting. I wasn't doing anything. It felt like I'd woken up, right? And then but then my imagination started to take over. I started to think. This was after about. I think it was after about a minute, maybe longer. Maybe I can't remember. Maybe 2 minutes. But then my imagination started taking over and thinking. But it was real. I felt it was real. But then my imagination started taking over, thinking, what would happen if there was like something? Because I think my bedroom door was open, and my imagination was thinking, what would happen if there was something outside my door, sort of thing. So, and at that point, I seen something moving, and I think that was my imagination creating it, and something just came in. I can't remember what it was. It was just my imagination. Something just came in, running or flying, and just jumped at me, and I woke up again.
Oh wow!
The best way I can describe it, Mark, is right. There were no real monsters or whatever, but American Werewolf in London.
Yes.
Do you know that film where he wakes up
and
the nurse is in the room, and the nurse he goes, "Hello, good morning," and the nurse pulls the curtains open.
Yeah.
And there's a monster behind it, and he wakes up again. There wasn't that monster in my experience, but that's what it was like, as real as that. I can't remember the order, but one experience was where there was daylight outside, and one experience was when it was night. But I can't remember which order it was in.
Right.
Do you understand?
Right.
But that's what it was like. It was so real. It was real to me. It was like just normal day. I'd woken up. I think it was more than a few seconds. It was like a minute or two. And then my mind would start saying, well, is there something strange going on here? Am I awake? And then then my imagination took over and created, I don't know, a monster or whatever it was. Something came in. And I remember, that's it. That's right. I remember that, thinking, this isn't real. I'm dreaming. And at that point, something came in, ran into my bedroom and just jumped at me. And I just woke up. I can't remember what it was. It was just something that you would imagine in a dream that would be part of a dream. But it turned into a dream, but it didn't start that way. It's sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's proper real, like our conversation now.
Yes.
looking back, it was a dream. I know it was a dream. As soon as I woke up the second time, I knew it was a dream. But as we're talking now, that's what it felt like. The dream, that's what the dream felt like. And I wasn't astral projecting. It was maybe it had something to do with my because I'd woken up spiritually.
Yeah.
And two realities were merging. I don't know what that was. But it was real, it happened.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you
Strange,
mean.
man. That's strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
it's very, very odd.
Very bizarre, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, it seems like there's quite a lot happening, isn't there, for yourself as you've been going along? Seems to be more prevalent.
So that was about 2005-ish, 2003, something like that.
Yeah.
So about the same time, but this was in 2005.
Yeah.
I had to save a little girl from going under the bus. To cut a long story short, I was in Liverpool city centre, just out for a day shopping or whatever it was, and I was stood at these traffic lights. It's like this one way road that cut through Liverpool city centre, and this little girl was on red for pedestrians and green for traffic, and this little girl walked out into the middle of the road. So I decided to do something about it, and I stepped out onto the road and I grabbed her. At this point, I'd looked to the right and a bus was coming.
Right.
And I thought, if I don't do something now, she could end up under the bus.
Yeah.
So I stepped into the middle of the road. It's like 1/3 across or something from the other side of the road, and I grabbed her with one arm because I was carrying like a bag with my other hand, and then at some point within a few seconds, the bus was obviously coming closer, and it was going quite fast, but not too fast. And then something picked me up and threw me across the rest of the road, sort of thing, to the side of the road. I was still on the road. I hit the floor. I had a little girl in my arm, and it was like in slow motion. But it's like something I wasn't expecting to go flying. Something like a force picked me up and threw me across the road. I went flying, hit my head on the floor, and did all my ribs and anything. But it was the force that intervened.
Yeah. Oh wow!
It wasn't me diving. The diving was my reaction to being picked up and thrown across.
Do you feel like there was some type of supernatural,
some kind of guardian or something
helping you?
Intervened? Yeah. So about 2007, I had another experience, and it was like I was going to a sort of it was like a meeting, but it was an informal meeting with other people. Yeah. So I was meeting people, and I was sitting it's like a long table, and there's about 5 or 6 of us talking, and it's just this lady who had met recently that year. I think it was the year before I met her, and it was in the Liverpool city centre, and we were having this meeting about this stuff, and I started to think. Somehow I knew. Remember, I told you about the knowing.
Yes, I remember that.
I started to know. Somehow I knew that lady was reading my thoughts. I couldn't read her thoughts, but I knew she was reading my thoughts.
Yeah.
I know it sounds strange, and people out there probably think you're making it up, mate. It's just your imagination. It wasn't. It was real. It was. I can't. That's the only way I can describe how I felt about it. And I knew she was reading my thoughts. And what I've come to think was it was some kind of soul connection I had with this woman.
Right.
She's some kind. I think she was from the same sort of soul group. I don't know if you believe in all that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think she was sort of had a connection with me, like a really powerful connection. I think she might have been like trained in had the skill or the gift, and trained herself in telepathy. But I wasn't. But I think I had some kind of gift or something that connected with her. So I think I potentially had the gift to read the thoughts, but I couldn't. But I knew she was reading my thoughts, and I had to go excuse myself from the discussion and then go to the toilet to sort of rethink what was going on. I'm thinking, what the hell's going on here? And then come back and sit down.
Yeah, right.
So
Wow.
there was that. So I was in contact with that lady for a few years. So I knew her.
Right.
Honestly, it's an amazing experience. So, and I think I connected with that lady.
Yeah.
And there was another lady I met in another part of the country to do with the same sorts of things we were having meetings about. And I had a connection with her. This isn't in my notes, I just remembered this. But I know I had a connection because I was staying at a house, and we were going to a talk in London. And I remember looking in her eyes, and it's like I was transfixed into her eyes, and we seemed to exchange energy or information.
Right.
Weird. This was a different lady, though.
Yeah.
So there was that as well. So
is this something that you found is something that developed more later in life?
Yeah. Well, sort of. It's strange, because I had experiences when I was younger.
Yeah.
And then sort of things started to sort of lay dormant for a lot of my 20s, not all of it, because I still had some experiences. And then when I could have gone into my 30s, I went through an awakening, didn't I? So I started having more intense experiences again.
Right. Yeah,
so these are more like spiritual experiences, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Mark, another experience I had was I was in my flat on the Wilstow, and this was about 2008.
Yeah.
And I seen this shadow on the wall, and I'd sat down in a chair in my living room, and then I looked up on the wall and I seen this shadow, and it seemed to crouch down.
Right.
After I'd sat down, it wasn't my shadow; it was a different shadow.
Yeah.
And it seemed to be bigger than me.
Right.
And the reason I say crouch down is because I was listening to Rosemary Ellen Gully, is it? That author who talks about ghosts and paranormal.
Right.
I was listening to one of her interviews, and she's written books about it, about the jinn and all this.
Yeah.
And she's saying what they're doing, it's a crouching position or something, ready to attack.
All right.
Yeah. So
that was
I also did sit down.
Yeah.
Also did, sorry to interrupt me. Also did was sit down.
Yeah.
And then look up onto my wall and notice the shadow. And the shadow sort of crouched over, sort of thing. It's weird because there's a shadow on the wall. It's not me.
Yeah. So this happened after your movement. So you've sat down and then this shadow moves afterwards.
Yeah, it wasn't my shadow.
Yeah. It's just a discount that in case anybody, I just wanted to clarify that. Yeah.
This was a much sort of bigger shadow.
Got you.
It wasn't opposite me, it was to the left.
Got you. Yeah.
It was a bit to the left.
Wow.
On the wall opposite me. It wasn't directly opposite.
Yeah.
But it moved when I didn't move.
Yes. I know what you mean, yeah. That's what unnerving that. Seeing something like that.
It did scare me.
Yeah.
And another thing that happened is around the same time, I don't know if it's the same week or whatever, but around 2008, it was in the evening, it was dark outside, and I started hearing this clicking sound.
Yeah.
It was coming from, I think it was coming from my living room. I was sitting in the living room, and I started to hear this really weird clicking sound.
Right.
I couldn't locate the actual source of the sound.
Yeah.
But I think it was coming from my living room. That's all I could say.
Right.
I went on a forum somewhere and I asked around, and someone said it could be gnome spirits.
Oh, right.
I don't know if it was that, but around the same time, I did have these garden gnomes in my living room flat with all my books and stuff on a shelf.
Oh, right.
I don't know if that's got anything to do with it.
Right. Could they
but it was a weird clicking.
Right, okay. Can they bring things in then? Them type of
Say
things.
again, mate.
Can they, like the gnomes, bring things in, spirits
I
in?
don't know, mate.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I was watching a Bigfoot. The only other time I've heard that is that I was watching a Bigfoot thing on YouTube where some guy goes hunting for Bigfoot or
Yeah.
looking for Bigfoot,
Yeah.
and he was doing it, field research, and
Yes.
he said that the place he was going, he was walking up to, there'd been heard strange clicking sounds.
Right. Right.
I don't know if I've heard any other reports of that of strange clicking sound, but I've asked around about that, and it's not that common.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Strange.
It almost seemed to echo. It didn't echo, but it's like can't really describe the sound. But it was just a strange sound. It didn't feel normal. There's something. It was coming from inside my flat.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
And another thing that happened is I used to see cigarette smoke
All right.
in my
Yeah.
flat, but I seen like loads of it. It's like you see it. I think, is that my imagination? What is that? And
Yeah.
I got to the point where I'd see it and it'd be there for about 5, 10 seconds and then go fade away. And
Right.
then at some point that went on for several weeks or a month or so.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but at some point when that was happening, it was like multiple cigarette smokes. It wasn't just one or two. It was like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20, nearly. Can't remember, but it was
Wow.
loads of them. I think that was some kind of spirit
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
spirits.
Yeah.
And another experience I had, Mark, was I was coming home from trains. I got off the train, I was walking home, and I felt this spider's web on my face.
Right.
I thought the spider's web's on my face. I was trying to rub it off.
Yeah.
The research I've done since then is I think that's spirits trying to contact you, or your spirit guides trying to contact you.
Right.
And this
Right.
was about
Yeah.
2008, something like that, 2009.
Wow. Wow.
I was just walking home one evening.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I was going to say I've had a similar experience with the feeling like cobweb.
What do you think that was, mate?
Obviously, well, I had it after not long after my mother passed away, so
Oh,
it
did you?
sort of
Yeah.
connects. Yeah, it sort of connects with me what you're saying there. Obviously, mine was indoors, not outdoors, but now I can totally get that one.
But it's really
Really,
intense. It's like the whole
yeah,
face
yeah,
was covered. It wasn't like a little bit on the side or a little bit in
yeah,
your forehead or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
It was
Yours
like
is really,
the whole like really intense sort of
yes,
web on your face.
yeah. And your natural reaction is to try and get it off, isn't it? You know, when it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
So at this point, like about like a year later or something, I'd moved moved out of that flat and gone to a different part of the country, mate.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'd moved away, and I was living in a different place. So I had more experiences there. So I was in this flat, and it had like a balcony at the back,
yeah.
and I used to do a little bit of stargazing at the back there as well of an evening. And one night I just asked for a sign, and this white light.
Yeah.
I was outside on the balcony, and this white light came over from the left hand side, um, and then flew out. So it slowly flew up towards me, and it was as it was getting closer to me, it was getting brighter and brighter. But it was only flying slowly. It was above me. I don't know how high up. It was like maybe 50 feet above me or something. I can't
Yeah,
really work out,
yeah.
but it was like it was flying directly above me. And as it got right above my head, it got really bright, and then it flew off again, slowed right down, got really bright above my head, and then
Mhm.
started to speed up a little bit, not a lot, as it flew away, and it faded off. The light faded as it flew away. The light faded away.
All right.
So
Right.
it's just a light that came from nowhere. I asked for a sign.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
strange, isn't it, mate?
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So it came right over the top of me.
Wow. Interesting. Again, hell of a lot of experiences that you've had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and another experience I had in the same place, and I think a ghost followed me home one night.
Right.
I was in like the area where I was sleeping, and
Yeah.
there was like a hallway. It was a proper flat, like, but I was sleeping in the living room at the time. But the living room door was open, and I heard like a
Oh,
something
right.
like that
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
hallway, and I sort of right, there's something wrong. So I got the courage to look in the hallway. The light was on, I think. Couldn't see anything. So I sort of maybe an hour later or something. I just went to bed. I went to bed, fell asleep on the bed,
Yeah.
and I remember waking up like 10 minutes later or something, as if something had been banging on my bed, on the actual bed,
Yeah.
deliberately waking me up. So I think that might have
Wow.
been a ghost that followed me
Yeah.
home or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it did scare me a little bit.
And there was, and like when you got home and that, did you? I mean, it didn't stay around or anything like that, did it?
No, the
It
ghost,
left.
that was the only experience I had.
Yeah.
That's why I
Yeah.
think it followed me home,
Yeah.
because it didn't hang around, from what I
Right.
can tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another experience I had when I was still in this place is, I say I used to go up the back with the balcony. It's like a metal sort of stairs, and like
Oh,
like
yeah.
like a balcony area where we used to look up at the stars. Well, I remember doing that one night. I just looked right up above me, and I swear I seen like some kind of spaceship or something. Like, it wasn't flying fast; it was just sort of like, it's just flying normal, but
Yeah.
really high up in the stars, or something. But it looked like something from the Millennium Falcon or something.
All right.
Ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know if it was like, I don't know what it was, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like,
Sounds like quite difficult to describe that one. Yeah.
yeah, I can't. I remember seeing something flying.
Yeah.
So maybe it was just aircraft, but I don't know if it was on the aircraft or the path.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was at night, and it was sort of, didn't look like an aircraft, that
Mm.
like a plane or anything.
Yeah.
So in 2017, I became homeless, and
Yeah.
I was sleeping outside, and it was near. I was sleeping there next to a cathedral.
Yeah.
It's like a well-known cathedral,
Yeah.
and there was they were changing the lights on the cathedral. It's like they had lights that lit up the cathedral,
Yeah.
and they were adding lights to it, or changing the lights, or putting more lights on or something.
Yeah.
And I noticed on the cathedral, on the front, on the facade of the cathedral, it's like there was two like almost figures
Yeah.
from where the lights were shining on. They were creating like a like 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 a shadow, or like it was fixed. It wasn't even paranormal. It was
Yeah.
just it was almost a trick of the light
Mm-hmm.
on the cathedral, on the front of the cathedral. But it was like it's like they had two pillars on the cathedral, and on the pillars were like faces or figures or something.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of something that I'd seen in a popular culture or something, but couldn't
Yeah.
quite figure out what it was. And one of them
Right.
was more defined and more sort of had more of a face than the other one, because they seemed to have faces.
Yeah.
And but it was like sort of, it's almost abstract art, but it was like done by with the lights that are shining on the front of the cathedral.
Yeah.
But because something told me there's something in this, and it's basically like a figure or a face or some kind of thing on the left side and the right side of the cathedral, like shadows, or like silhouettes.
Yeah.
But that was being done with the light the lighting system that was being shined onto the cathedral that
Right.
evening. So, but something made me think that reminded me of something, but I couldn't work out what it was.
Yeah.
So I went back down to lie down to just where I was sleeping, and I had a little think for a few minutes, and I realised what it was. It reminded me of Treebeard, from Lord of the Rings,
All right. Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
figure on the front of the cathedral that I could see,
Yeah.
like that had been created from the light shining on it, like it's like a shadow.
Yeah.
It was like, but it was like Treebeard, and at that point I went Treebeard, and a light from the sky flashed as I said that.
All right. Wow.
What I'm thinking, what my theory around this
Yeah.
is that cathedral was being protected by ancient tree spirits, tree guardians,
Right. Right.
and the flash in the sky was the universe or whoever let me know that I was correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing that happened is, remember I told you about that lady who I thought I had a soul connection with?
Oh yes. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, she died in 2019. And
Right.
at this point, I was still homeless, but I was staying with family.
Yeah.
And it was about 10. It was about 10:30 at night, 10:30,
Yeah.
11. Do you remember when Boris Johnson got voted in? It was that night, it was December the 12th.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I was lying in bed. The light was off. I was staying in the spare room with family, and I remember getting this like psychic image or like in my mind's eye sort of thing, sort of
Yeah.
this bird, this spirit. Well, it was a dove. It was a white dove,
Right.
but it must have been a spirit dove. But I thought it was like exactly what it was when I used to feed the pigeons,
Yeah.
and I thought it was one of the pigeons that had died that had come to visit me.
Yeah.
But it was a psychic, sort of a spiritual psychic experience. It's like a psychic experience. It's like I got up out of bed and sat up in bed and
Yeah.
on the edge of the bed and stuck my hand out to 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 collect the bird. No, so he could land on my hand.
Yeah.
Because that's what I used to do when I was homeless. I used to feed the birds. They used to come and land on my hand. That's what I did. But it wasn't a real bird, but somehow I knew it was important and
Yeah.
to do what I did. So I seen it. So I got this impression of this dove coming
Yeah.
from nowhere, visiting me. And I got up I sat up out of bed and sat on the edge of the bed and stuck my arm out, my hand out. And it's like clench your fist
Yeah.
on the side sort of
Yeah.
thing, so a bird can land where your
Hmm.
thumb is. I did
Yeah.
that, but there was no bird there. But there was a bird there, but it was dead. I thought it was a spirit of a bird, but what it was it was that lady. I didn't know this at the time, but it was that lady that passed over and died.
All
And
right. Yeah.
she must have sent out a spirit dove to everyone she had a connection with.
Oh wow. Oh, that's lovely. That is.
She either did it consciously once she
Yeah.
passed over,
Yeah.
or the universe did it for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I had a connection.
Yes.
Because I
Yeah.
felt I did have a connection. Right. I did love her
Yeah.
as well, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say that sounds quite a loss. This
Yeah.
person.
But it
Yeah.
came from
Yeah.
nowhere. It was just like, I'd say 11:15 in the evening or something.
Yeah.
And the light was off in the room. And I got this impression of this dove coming in.
Yeah.
And I sat up in the bed and turned onto the edge of the bed and stuck my arm out. And
Yeah.
this bird landed. This like spirit dove landed on my hand and stuck my arm out and it landed.
Wow.
And then at some point, that lasted a few minutes or something. And then I just went back to bed. I just lied back down. And
Yeah.
then about half an hour later, or maybe less, I tried to get back to sleep, but I looked up and I was used to all the lights, from the road, from the traffic,
Yeah.
the lights coming in from because the lights coming in from inside of the building, and the lights coming from the outside of the building. I was used to the different lights and stuff,
Yeah.
but there shouldn't have been any lights at the bottom of the bed. In fact, the bottom of the bed was a big massive suitcase and stuff, so no one could really stand there. But what I seen I didn't see a person, but I seen like it wasn't even an outline. It was just sort of, it was sort of a light figure at the bottom of the bed.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of an outline, but I couldn't quite make it out. But I still thought it was probably imagination. But this was the same night, like half an hour later or something.
Right.
But
Right.
there was something there. There was like a light there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but it wasn't just a circle or light. It was like maybe a head and then a bit of a torso. But I couldn't quite work out. I couldn't quite see that.
Yeah.
But there was something manifesting, sort of thing, that was sort of there for a time. I
Right.
thought that I hadn't seen that light there before like that. So I was just wondering what that was, because 20 minutes, half an hour earlier, I'd had that spirit dove. So
Wow. Just to ask, so was it after you found out about the lady had passed away, or
no,
was it before?
I didn't find out that lady had died until January the 2nd, and this was the 12th of December. It wasn't until
Okay.
January the following year that
Yeah.
I found out she died. And then I worked it all out. I just thought it was a pigeon I knew from when I was homeless, because I got on first name terms with the pigeons almost, because I was feeding them was homeless.
Yeah.
Because I used to have different names for them, like one I had like a Mohican and stuff. And I used to see it regularly, and I used to feed it, and then some of them birds recognised me, and used to come out. They used to come over to me and get the food. Used to recognise me.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was a bird that I lost using my logic brain.
Yeah.
I think, well, what's just happened though is just a bird that I knew that died, that had come to say goodbye or something.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that, was it?
But it all made sense once you found out that news. And,
So, and that was when I was staying at family's house.
Right.
So, but I was used to my surroundings there. When lying in the bed and that, I was used to all the different lights coming through the window and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
I knew what when a car went past with the headlights.
Yeah.
You knew which part of the room it would light up. It wouldn't light up that part of the room where I seen that sort of light at the end of my bed or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was like just a shape or something. I can't really remember, but there was something there.
Yeah.
So at this point, I got myself a flat, and I'd been rehoused. And the strange thing was I was starting to have I was using headphones, earphones, sorry, earphones.
Yeah.
And I was starting to get weird echo in my left ear.
Right.
Like, it was strange. It was like, I think it only happened when I put the earphones in, but it was only the left ear. And then around the same time, I noticed it went on for like 6 weeks or longer. But around the same time I first noticed that, I noticed like on my bed there was like a sheet that you lie on.
Yeah.
And on the left-hand side where the window is, there was like 2-3 spots of blood. It was like, my bed. This is the current place I'm in now that I'm living in.
Yeah.
This happened like 2-3 years ago when I first moved in.
Right.
And like these spots of blood on the left-hand side. I was I sleep on a double bed, and to the left-hand side there's like these spots of blood that I noticed, but I don't know where they came from. It was as if my theory is it came from my ear.
Yeah.
As if someone had been pulling my ear and pulled out, and some blood had dropped on the sheets, on the bed sheets.
Right.
So I'm thinking, I don't know if I've been chipped by something, but I have no memory of it, apart from the strange sound that I get in my ear.
Yeah.
That was getting in my ear at the time. I don't know what you think that is, Mark.
That's difficult to say, but it is odd, isn't it, that you I mean, it's important what you feel happened, as in what you was chipped, like microchipped.
I was thinking something might chip me, but it's like it would have been like a paranormal thing or something.
Yeah.
It wasn't people. If it was people, I don't know how we got in.
Yeah.
I don't know, mate. Because the blood, where the blood was like near where my head sort of was, but to the left, a little bit lower.
Yeah.
Where my ear would have been, sort of thing, but to the left, as if someone had been put in my ear and then pulled out and blood had dropped, like an implant. But I'm
Right.
thinking I might have been shit, mate. Yeah, and
Yeah.
another thing that happened, Mark, was I was lying in my bed in this flat now a couple of years ago,
Right.
and to the left of me, I noticed this weird shimmering,
Right.
like it was almost as if it was standing next to my bed.
Mm-hmm.
This weird, like, do you know on a hot summer's day, in the distance you can see like a mirage, like not a mirage, like a shimmering,
Yeah,
like
like
the
a
heat.
quiver in the air, like yeah,
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 but it was like that. It's like a horizontal shimmering,
yeah.
almost like in the Predator films.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like
Right. Yeah.
that. And
Right.
I sort of thought, well, I've done it since then. I'm thinking it was a spirit.
Yeah.
And since then, I've done more research, and it's definitely people have experienced this and seen this shimmering thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wow.
this is in the current place where I'm living now.
Yeah. Yeah.
The final experience I've got for you is I was talking to someone in my flat, and I think at some point we're talking about ghosts, but we're talking about other stuff as well, like music. But all of a sudden, he said he could hear rustling coming from the hallway, and he said he wasn't sure whether it was coming from the hallway, my hallway, so where my door is, or the other side of the door.
Yeah.
And uh, so I couldn't hear where I was sitting. He was sitting next to my door,
Yeah.
in the living room, but I couldn't hear anything. So I went into the hallway, and it's like this cupboard to the left hand side in my hallway, and it's like paper bags and stuff in there. So I
Right.
opened that door, right, to the cupboard and
Yeah.
rustled the paper bags. And he said that's what it sounded like, that's what it was.
Right.
So he was hearing something rustling in my cupboard, in my
Right.
hallway.
Yeah.
So that evening, right, he's leaving my flat. He's
Yeah.
walking out the hallway, and I open my door of my flat, and he's walking out, and he turns around to say goodbye, and I remember him looking over my shoulder, and I thought not of it, and then he goes off and says, see you, mate, yeah, and then he comes back the following day, and he goes, I've got something to tell you. He goes, I seen like a dark shadow figure standing behind you when I was leaving your flat, when you were standing at the doorway, and
Yeah.
I was walking off. I turned around and looked, and he said, figure, like a dark shadow. He said it had a face. He said it 6 foot tall, and in the doorway of my bedroom, because my bedroom is also leads onto the hallway where in my flat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he said he's seen it standing behind me, and he was worried that night. The previous night, he was worried. After he'd seen it, he was worried about me, so he wanted to tell me. So that's the last
Right.
really. That's the
Wow.
last paranormal thing. I didn't see
Yeah.
anything. I'm only going by what he said.
Yeah.
So that's the
And you
last
did.
main paranormal thing that I've got for you to tell you. But that was a
Wow.
year ago.
Right. And
1 year
you
ago.
didn't feel anything or just when in the
No, I was
doorway
fine. I
when
remember
yeah.
there's nothing. I couldn't. There's nothing out of the ordinary. It's just
Yeah.
another evening night.
Yeah.
So that's it,
Yeah.
mate.
Well, thanks for sharing all that, Stephen. I mean, fascinating stuff, really, and accounts what you've relayed and shared with myself and the listeners. And I'd like to really thank you for doing that because it's not easy to sometimes recall on a lot of that stuff. You know.
Yeah, I've made a conscious effort to write notes out and try and remember as much as I can, as
Yeah.
much detail as I can,
Yeah.
and not get my mind polluted by TV, internet, and all the rest of it. It's
Yeah.
difficult though, but
Yeah.
I think I've put together quite a lot of experiences and stuff.
Yeah. 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 Definitely. Definitely. So,
So thanks for that, mate.
yeah, no, I mean, thanks for coming on and sharing that and and reaching out to me in the first place and doing these two interviews. It is fascinating stuff. And it's areas that I'm interested in myself, which is the paranormal and spiritual experiences, and even UFOs and all that. I'm totally open to, and a lot of my listeners are, and viewers. They're interested in all these subjects. So thanks for really sharing all your experiences and enlightening us.
Yeah, well,
you know
I've been interested in this. Sorry to interrupt. I've been interested in this for years myself, all my
yeah
life, really.
yeah
I
yeah
noticed we've got like over 200 views on the last interview we did.
yeah 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 and that's quite a good viewership, really, because there's a lot of it. I think there's a lot of interest in the paranormal, and people's
There is, and it does
experiences.
get covered up. It's
Yeah,
deliberately covered up, mate.
yeah,
And made to look stupid and ridiculous,
yeah,
and this is part of the brainwashing that people go through. You
yeah,
have to break free of it, mate, and just open your mind.
yeah, yeah. You definitely. Well, thanks for coming on, Steve, and sharing all the experiences. And if in the future, if you feel like you want to come on and share any more, you're more than welcome to do that onto the Enlightened Times podcast.
Okay, Mark, thanks very much.
Well, thanks, and hopefully speak again soon.
Yep. Okay, bye.
Bye. Bye for now.